My Hero Academia is complete and utter trash.
This anime is complete
Worst
garbage.
anime of all time.
Anime
I don't
talk,
like
I
My
think
Hero
My Hero
that much.
Academia sucks.
What's the worst anime of all
Academia
time in
is
your
one of the
opinion?
worst animes I've ever
My Hero
fucking
Academia.
seen.
My Hero Academia used to be on top of the world, being the most popular anime in viewership, overshadowing animes like Attack on Titan, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Super during the 2016 to 2018 era of anime. So what happened to this once great anime? Well, in short, a hard-working author got lazy. And let me explain, I am a huge fan of the series and I think Horikoshi is doing a decently good job, so no hate towards him. Anyways, to start, let's break the series into 3 categories: characters, plot, and tone. To start, the characters in My Hero did a lot right, while also falling very short. Let me rephrase, some characters did a lot right, while others fell very short. Like, think about it, we all have characters within the main cast that we could not care less about. But it's not the fault of the characters, rather the fact that they fail to stay in the frame of the story long enough for them to stay relevant.
While Sufukos, most of the cast have standalone backstories and arcs for their development.
Well, you're right, but notice how those episodes seem to mess with the timing and were overall forced and boring. And the best example of this is Froppy. She was given a side arc and was forced into a lot of important points in the story and still managed to stay irrelevant. Also, there's a very important aspect of shonen animes that makes for great character developments, and they're called foil characters. This is very evident in My Hero, as some of the best, most developed characters have foils. This includes Deku and Bakugo, Uraraka and Toga, All Might and Endeavor, and Todoroki and Dabi, just to name a few. These characters don't exactly need specific character development, but the two develop off of each other, so if one develops, the other one evolves as well. But even then, some of the characters still fall short. So what is the root of all the character development problems in My Hero? Well, there's too many characters and too quickly. My Hero falls into a trap where there's a lot of good ideas for characters with a lot of potential, but the lack of time leaves the characters being developed at a baseline level with a couple of individual exceptions. A great example of this happens in My Hero, as the villains are a small group with a lot of screen time.
While Sufukos, there's a lot of villains in the show that aren't developed.
Well, the villains of My Hero do something that allows them to be underdeveloped. They know how to leave the story. I mean, not them exactly, but like... Never mind, let me explain. Well, to say it bluntly, the villains of My Hero can either die or be locked up, and when they do, the other characters are forced to grow in their absence. Like, think about it, all of the main villains have very developed characters due to overcoming challenges and having real expectations to live up to.
Wow. But Deku has real expectations too.
Well, yes, but even though I love him, he's a flop. The problem with Deku is that he was perfect from the beginning of the story, and well, of course he developed physically and learned stuff along the way, but how has Deku's character changed? Well, it hasn't. You can't develop a character that's already perfect. Deku seems to not make any impactful or significant mistakes, and is stuck in the narrative that he's always going to be a goody two-shoes. Now, how is Horikoshi supposed to develop a character that is the most important character in the series if the character has a limited ceiling? Now imagine Deku actually had flaws, like he wasn't as good as he thought or wasn't able to live up to expectations. I mean shit, imagine if he experiences some actual consequences. A great example of this is the fact that Deku can get injured all the time and just get a half-assed warning that he's not going to be able to use his limbs anymore. But it's completely forgotten after some time passes. And yes, he changes his fighting style because he's trying to solve that problem, but he continues to get injured anyways and comes out of the situation just fine. Like, my god, it feels like he can never truly face the consequences of his actions. And yes, I remember when he was messed up at the training camp and then he had to go save Bakugo. With that point in mind, do you realize how influential that plot point was? Exactly, Deku developed more then than he did a huge chunk of the series. But back to my main point. Characters in My Hero fall short due to the fact that the series' time has been stretched and strained in order for character development to occur. This is where my next category comes into play: the plot. If the story had more time, there wouldn't be a need for a dumpster fire like this. Honestly, if they kept My Hero at the same length, there is an efficient, lazy way to fix all of their problems. With a simple time skip, characters can be developed off camera and would add some perfect spice to all the characters. Since, you know, like My Hero kind of struggles with like the quantity thing. This would fix my biggest pet peeve with the series, and the fact that the entire story happens in one school year. You're telling me that Deku becomes the world's greatest hero at age 16? Do you know what I was doing at age 16? I was coming home from school and watching My Hero. But that's besides the point. Like, come on. A time skip would do wonders for this anime, especially if the time skip happened right after the retirement of All Might and Deku goes on to say something like,
We lost our symbol of peace, and now we have to become stronger as the darkness grows in the shadows of our society.
like if the foil of Deku and Bakugo and maybe the other characters that were present in Kamina Ward that night were faced with the fact that they needed to get stronger to fill the void that was left by All Might, it not only add character development but an overall more serious tone to the series. Wait, tone? That's the last thing I haven't talked about yet. The last category that I haven't touched yet is My Hero's tone. My Hero develops a tone issue as the story gets to the end of season 3 to the middle of season 4. You see, the story starts with a silly tone and it poorly and quickly switches to a more serious one. And to preface, the silliness of My Hero at the beginning of the story is one of the things that made me fall in love with the anime, but I feel like the story shouldn't have stayed like this forever. It's like the story flip-flops back and forth between depressing and serious to happy and silly, and it leaves an unsettling taste in my mouth. My Hero tries to solve this problem with narration and it just seems lazy. Like in season 5, the class is having a happy silly scene where they're having a Christmas party, and it immediately switches to a more serious tone where Deku tries to transition the two by having an internal narration basically saying that good times are going to be overshadowed by evil, or something like that. Anyways, it happens multiple times in the series, and I feel if this needs to be done, it should be done in a way where the pressure is known and not narrated. And this is why I think a time skip would be perfect, because the tone can be altered along with the characters. And I know I've been yapping for a while, but I am no expert author or analyst of media of any kind, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. And again, I wanted to make it clear, I am not sending hate to Horikoshi. I am not a part of that side of the fandom. Anyways, this video isn't to hate on My Hero, but it's to put out my constructive criticism. And if we're being honest, Horikoshi would never see this video for many reasons. If you made it this far in the video and you disagreed with something I said, or you wanted to add on to something I brought up in the video, I encourage you to drop it in the comments and we can discuss it. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and make sure to turn on the notification bell so you get notified every time I go on one of these crazy rants. And with that, my name is Safukos and I will see you guys in the next video. Later.